Question number 7 now says if the midpoint of line segment DE is at 1010 and one of the endpoints is at 1712, where is the other endpoint? And they give us 4 different options here, either 38, 55, 72, or 13.5, 11. Okay, now this one, it's very important that you read and understand what's going on here carefully. So it says the midpoint of line segment DE is at 1010. And one of the endpoints is 1712. Where is the other endpoint? So the midpoint is actually given to us in this problem. If we were to draw a sketch of what this would look like, okay, we've got 1010 is the midpoint. So I'm just going to, I know that that's a positive x and y. I'm just going to put it somewhere out here and I'll say that that's where 1010 is. And then it gives us another point, all right, one of the endpoints of the line. So endpoints are again the points on the end. And it says one of the endpoints is at 1712, so that's going to be somewhere out in this region. Okay, farther in the x, farther up as well. So 1712. So it's asking us to find the other endpoint of our graph. If you did not read that correctly and you thought this was an endpoint as well, then you would think, oh, the midpoint's going to be somewhere in here. You could figure out what x is halfway between 10 and 17 and what y is halfway between 10 and 12. And then that would be the point. And that is actually, if you picked answer D, chances are that's what you did. You thought 1010 was one of the endpoints and so was 1712, and you found the midpoint. Well, you got to read it carefully and realize they've already given us the midpoint at 1010. So we've got to kind of work backwards and realize, all right, 1010 is actually right in the middle already. So that means it is halfway between this point and some other point, which tells me the other point needs to be directly in line with that point somewhere over here, and it's 1010 is halfway between them, so I'm just going to make a sketch and figure out, okay, it looks like it would be somewhere over in here, alright, so that 1010 is halfway in between. Now, if this point is halfway in between, if they ever give you a midpoint and one endpoint, I'm going to show you a little trick right here. All you have to do is figure out how far away in the x and the y direction the midpoint is from one of the endpoints, and it will be the exact same over here. Okay, I kind of got a little sloppy there. Let me erase that and straighten that up. But when we look at this, it's actually not going to be too hard at all to figure out how far they've gone. So look at the x values first. 10 to 17, how far did they go from the midpoint to there? That's a distance of 7. Alright, then look at the y's. 10 and 12. How far did they go there? Well, they went up 2. So if they went right 7 and up 2, we want to go left 7 and down 2 to get to our other endpoint. So if I'm going left, that's in the x direction. Starting at 10, going left by 7. 10 minus 7 gives me an x value of 3. And then look at the y. They went up 2, so we're going to go down 2 from the midpoint. So down 2, 10 minus 2 would give me 8. So my other endpoint would be at 3, 8, and that is going to be answer choice A. Okay, so make sure you understand the direction you're supposed to go here. Again, this just comes down to realizing, oh, I'm given the midpoint and one of the endpoints. I can just figure out how far apart in the x and the y direction these are, and then just go in the opposite direction from the midpoint. So instead of going up 7, or excuse me, right 7 and up 2, go left 7 and down 2 and figure out what point that would be. Okay. Again, if let's say that they had told me the other endpoint was 3, 8 and we were asked to find the midpoint, they didn't tell us it was 10, 10, then all you do is you figure out what x is between the two endpoints and what y is halfway between the two endpoints. Okay. And to do that, really simple, 3 plus 17 is 20, and divide that by 2. We're averaging these two x's. 3 plus 17 is 20, divided by 2 is 10. Do the same thing with the y's. Average them. 8 plus 12 is 20. Divide that by 2 since there are 2 points. 20 divided by 2 is 10 again. So that would have given us the correct midpoint. Okay? So, there's your problem number 7. Make sure you understand it. Again, any questions, you can leave a comment or ask me about it in class. And then go on to question number 8 or whichever problem you miss next.